Well disc versus the MIG weld on that one. Carbon fiber front fork. The only reason I'm mentioning this is not so much because I want you to buy a Trek bike, but I wouldn't mind it. But just these are the things that you look for when you look at a new bike purchase. Better quality aluminum, better quality shape, carbon fiber front fork. And notice the wheels, how the wheels on this are what is known as radially laced. These have the spokes crisscrossing, and that actually is what is known as a cross-3 pattern. Makes the wheel very strong, but they can use a lower grade of material because it has more strength. So they all have to meet the same strength tolerances, but that wheel therefore becomes much heavier than this wheel, which uses lighter weight alloys and is using less spokes. Why is that important? Because as we're going up a hill or as we come out of a corner, we want to get that rolling mass moving as quickly as we can. So that has additional rolling mass. Make it harder to climb, harder to accelerate as we come out of a turn. This one also has Shimano 105 drivetrain components. You'll hear that. That's pretty much a standard in the industry as being the best per buck drivetrain is the Shimano 105. So then,
real quick before you move on to the next stage, can you describe what type of price ranges you're talking about between
sure, absolutely.
$8.99
is this one. This one goes to $12.99. They all have to be on sale right now, $100 off. So it'll be $11.99. And then we go to the carbon fiber Trek bike. This is actually the last bike that Lance won a Grand Tour on. And what they've done is they've taken and amortized the cost of the engineering over the years and have kept this bike in the lineup. This now is a $2,000 price point. Carbon fiber is really a nice material. If I'm training for longer distances, if somebody comes in and they ask, well, I really would like to get this bike because of the price point, but I'm training for a century. Well, at that point, I'm going to highly encourage them to buy a carbon fiber because there's not significant difference if I'm riding 25, 30 miles. Once I start hitting that 50-mile mark and that 60-mile mark, then the ride quality becomes significant. It becomes something that I very much more relaxed on. It's just much more comfortable. And then you can go up from there too. It's not too hard these days in cycling to even come up with $10,000 bikes. The independent fabrication bike that I ride, the white one that's hiding over there in the corner, has got a lot of bells and whistles on it. But if you had to pay retail for it, it'd be over $10,000 for that road bike. It's got a lot of cool things on it. If you didn't work at a bike shop, you probably could afford it.
You're saying I should knock it over?
Yeah. Any question on bikes? Hey, you guys are an easy crowd. All right, another thing that they asked me to talk about today was what kind of things should I take on my ride? What should I make sure that I have for the ride? Probably the most important one, and I'll probably touch on this again, is a quality pair of shorts. When you pedal, you want to carry at least 80 revolutions per minute in your pedal stroke. Most racers these days are actually carrying between 90 and 100 revolutions per minute. So you're going up like that. A lot of people think that these big fat saddles are the way to make yourself comfortable on a ride. But what happens is you do this. You change the alignment of the hip, the knee, and the ankle by putting that big seat on there. That's why all the seats are narrow, so that you have the hip, knee, and ankle alignment correct. As a matter of fact, a lot of the racers pay a lot of money to us fitters to get that exactly right. Because if you're out on the saddle, an 8-hour ride, training ride, a 10-hour training ride, that alignment really has to be perfect. So the quality of the short then has to make up for the lack of seat. And it's really not unusual to spend $100 on a pair of shorts. Again, you guys, I told you before, I've been racing since '87. In the early days,
Just when?
in the early days, all you had was a chamois, and that chamois wicked moisture away, and it's really good for about the first 45 minutes of a ride. But once you got to like just 2 hours into the ride, they became hot. They became bacteria breeding grounds, and the only thing that happened, one of the things that was very common was to get saddle sores, and they were it was under the first layer of skin. It was like a blister, and they were extremely painful, and they were very hard to get rid of. So the things that you want out of those shorts is something that has an antibacterial pad, and it wicks really well. So to spend the money for that quality short is really important. And most shorts these days, too, are multi-paneled, which I can show you later as we look at shorts. But they'll have different cuts in the short so that the short is allowed to compress with you. Instead of having just a single piece of fabric that can scrunch up on you, technical word, can scrunch up on you, then it will allow that short to move with the way your leg moves. So that's probably the most critical. And tri-shorts, although tri-shorts are great on race day, they're not good for training day. I know there's, I do the Thursday night Haynes Point ride, and a lot of the women wear their tri-shorts at Haynes Point because they look better from the backside. That's great for Haynes Point when you're out there maybe for 20 miles and you can stop occasionally and have a water break. If you're going to go out for a 50-mile training ride, it's time to kind of man up and get a good pair of shorts and ride, because you'll notice that. A flat pack. I don't know if you guys know if this may be, as we go back, what to take on your ride. This may be way back in the beginner stage, and you may know all this stuff. But a flat pack is something that just sits underneath of your seat like this. And the components of a good flat pack are obviously a tube, at least one tube. Some people will say that 2 tubes are important to take on your ride. And even though, and by the way, we have a maintenance class here once a month, and it is free. And it will teach you how to change the flat, some of the fundamentals of maintenance, and they will discuss how to change a flat. But even in the event that you don't know how to change a flat, it's critical to have that tube out on a ride. All of us guys that work in shop and all the experienced riders, as we're going by, we see somebody on the side of the trail and we go, "Hey, can we help you?" And they go, yeah, I've got a flat tire and I don't know how to change it. If you don't have a tube, you're walking home, because there are a lot of different sizes. Make sure that the least that you have is a tube so that somebody else riding can come help you. So that goes in your flat pack. These tire levers to be able to help change the tire goes into your flat pack. A patch kit should go into your flat pack in case you didn't find that little thorn or that little sticky thing in there, and your brand new tube, you inflate it and it goes flat. That should always be a fallback. And just in case you tear the sidewall in the tire, you will need something to throw in there to make it back home with. Some way to inflate it once you fix it. This is the one that I carry in my flat pack. It's a CO2 inflator. It has a cartridge that you put it in here and it activates it, and you squeeze this trigger and fill the tire up with it. So that's, or a lot of people will carry the good old handy pump. underneath of their bottle cage on the bike. What the advantage of having a pump is obviously this lasts forever. This is one shot and done. The one CO2 cartridge, once you use it, it's done. That's why a lot of people will carry multiple CO2 cartridges with them on their ride. This will never fail you. You never run out of pumping your tire oil. And while we're talking about tires, I'll go over it again when we talk about checking up for our pre-ride. But most of the flat tires that we see here, well over 90% of them, are what is known as pinch flats. That's when the tire is underinflated, and this being the tire, when the tire is underinflated and you hit one of those little nasty roots out there on the trail, and it does this. It collapses the tire against the tube and creates a pinch flat. It looks like a snake bite, and boom. Nowadays, they're making the tubes so lightweight. Everybody's conscious about being lightweight. Lightweight wheels, lightweight tires. That the tubes themselves are actually somewhat porous. And they will go down. I notice that on my commuter bike, if I ride every day to work, that I have to fill them twice a week. And that's a good rule of thumb.
Every time before you ride.
Yeah. Nothing. At least if you go out if you're a weekend warrior and you go out on the weekends, every weekend you're going to lose enough to have that pinch flat. So just, you know, that's again, that's one of the biggest cripplers of a road ride that I have seen. Good riding shorts, I mentioned that before. I'm going to mention again, that's really critical. A comfortable helmet. A lot of people come in and they know that helmets are important for your safety, but they want to get away. That's one area that everybody seems to want to get away cheap. And they go like, okay, what's your cheapest helmet? I know I've got to have one. But you're going to be in your helmet. Again, if you're out on your training rides, you're going to be in your helmet for 5, 6 hours. You want good ventilation. You want something that fits the head well. We carry the laser helmet here, which is a good quality helmet. And it also has, its retention system has like a little bee in the back. And it's great for women with ponytails. The ponytail comes right out the back. And it's probably our most popular seller to female athletes. But make sure that you've got something that's well ventilated. Make sure that you've got something that's comfortable, because you're going to have that thing on your head for a long period of time. Gloves. Even as much as we stress that fit and balancing those contact points where you don't have a lot of pressure on your hands. And if anybody's having hand problems, again, come see me afterwards, because it probably has something to do with bike fit. One of the things I didn't mention on bike fit either is you'll notice that we try to maintain a seat to handlebar height that is level. And that, again, helps us balance those contact points on the body. And you'll notice that a lot of the racers will have what they call drop, where the handlebars are lower than the seat. They do that for aerodynamics, and you have to work a lot with your flexibility